What's up, guys? So today we're back with another video on the Nikon Z9. I took it out for its first event this past weekend, and it was a dream to work with. And I just want to tell about my experience, show some pictures, and give some background on it. So this is a family that I shoot birthday parties for the past few years. They hire me for a lot of their stuff. And this is going to be the last birthday party that I shoot for them because next year they'll be traveling abroad instead of hosting a massive party. They are such an amazing family, and I've loved working with them throughout the years. And I'm sure something will come up that they may need me for, but I'm so honored to have been chosen to photograph their events the past couple of years. So as I said in the last video, I didn't think I could be any more excited about photography, but the Z9 has made me more excited. So I get to the event, and the first thing that I really want to try out is the camera's ability to shoot with some backlight and some different lighting going on. So the client had put up a string light wall behind the dance floor, and of course they're going to want, formal photographs or family photographs where everybody's posed up in front of this wall too. But I wanted to check and see how well the camera worked with the eye autofocus, with the stuff going on in the background, people dancing, a lot of stuff going on. And what I found was the camera worked extremely well, especially in continuous mode. It had a great ability to stay on the person subject that I started with, that I wanted it to stay on. It also had a wonderful ability, I had it in starlight mode, and it had that wonderful ability to track the subject as well as test out its ISO features in a real-world environment. So for these dancing photos, I used the 70-200 at f2.8 for most of them. Some of them I used the 50mm 1.8s at, I think, 1.8. We'll look at it when we look at the photos. But I really wanted to get that beautiful bokeh-licious background with the lights, which is why I put it at 200 f2.8 and kind of stood back and got sort of like headshots of people dancing for some of it, because those are always fun with a beautiful background like that. When it comes to events, I personally like to use a high ISO because I want to be able to capture the atmosphere as is and then use a little bit of fill flash to help fill in shadows on the face, or just to bring it down a notch to where I don't have to have an extremely high ISO to cut down on that grain. When you predominantly use flash to light your subject, even if it's bouncing off of a white ceiling or something like that, you're taking away the ambient color of the situation. And when it comes to something like a reception, my personal style is to capture a lot of the color that's going on. And so I wanted to get that really warm color that was coming from the string lights and just fill in a little bit so that I could lower the ISO. This camera worked flawlessly with my Godox V1. I put it on TTL minus 0.7. It had issues with this flash when I did my first ISO test. I took the video down. If you guys don't remember it, it actually was the case that I think it was something, it needed the firmware update. I'm not really sure, but I could not get a consistent result even in manual mode with the flash. But now on camera flash, Godox V1 is working flawlessly. I had it pointed to the ceiling, and obviously I did not have it in 20 frames per second or anything like that as I'm using the flash, one shot, and then you gotta wait a second or two, take another shot so that the flash can recycle. So really, guys, the first thing I noticed with this camera was how well it performed in a low light situation with the 3D subject people tracking on, and having it set into 20 frames per second so that I could get all of these wonderful bull riding photos. The guests absolutely loved being able to watch their falls from the mechanical bull in motion, like a stop motion movie, because I would set the camera where it would scroll through their fall, and I would let them watch it forward and backwards, and that was such a hit with them. In fact, I'm going to be converting their falls from the mechanical bull into animated GIFs to give to my client, because going over the top is something that people come to love about me, and it will help you book more clients in the end. And this is just a fun thing to do for your clients. But anyway, it looked like a little stop motion movie when you're scrolling through, going back and forth with them falling and then falling up. It was really cool. This camera was able to stop the motion. I had a high shutter speed. I changed 400ths of a second and went to 800ths of a second, just kind of bounced around. I wanted to get some with a little bit of motion. I wanted to stop some motion completely. So I did just a little bit of experimenting. I used my 70-200 for some of the bull riding shots, and then I also used my 50mm for some of the bull riding shots. I couldn't really tell a difference on which one may have actually fared better. It felt to me like the 70-200 was, with the 3D tracking, better, but at the same time that was earlier in the day. There was a little bit more light. So honestly, I can't tell you definitively if one lens was better than the other. We'll have to do testing on that later. You know guys, when you're using a higher shutter speed, it means you're gonna have to raise your ISO. Some of these photos I had to go up to 16,000, 20,000. Now 20,000 would not be my preference. I stayed mainly at 12,800. Some of these are shot at 10,000. Having to go to that higher ISO is a dream with this camera because I can shoot 10,000, 12,800, no problem, and know that I can fix this grain in post. So I did not have the flash going for these mechanical bull riding shots because I had it in 20 frames per second. I also had the 3D and the people detection on. So that gives you a little bit of where I was on the camera settings. I believe I still had this, yeah, I had the starlight mode turned on because it was very dark in there still. So as far as the formals or any of the candids I took, I was mainly staying, I started with the 50mm when there was less people there and I could get a little bit closer to people. I shot at 1.8 most of the time, and that really would have been my go-to lens if the event haul had not been so large. I did end up switching to my 70-200 for a lot of stuff and just kind of was a fly on the wall and hung back so that I could capture hugs and little parts where people weren't noticing that I was there. When I was shooting the dancing, of course, I used the 70-200 like I said for a lot of it. But when I went to switch to the 50, I actually got a little bit closer onto the dance floor with the people because I did want to get that beautiful background in all of its glory, so that's why I did that for some of those. But you know, it's always good to change it up a bit when you're doing event photography and, you know, try a different lens or put it in rear curtain sync and get your tripod, or, you know, it's just fun to experiment when you get to that dancing phase, when people are just letting loose and having fun, and you know, you get to experiment and have fun too. I took about 1,800 photos and it took me down to about half power on that battery. I was there for 5 hours, and you know, a lot of the reason why I took so many photos, usually I don't take that many at a birthday party event, but I took so many because first of all, this was my first time at an actual event with the camera, and then second of all, I did a lot of those, you know, bursts because I wanted to get the people falling off the bull because it was so much fun. So that's one reason why I took so many photos from this event. So anyway guys, this camera was a dream to work with and take out in the real world, and I am so excited about it. If you like this video, please let me know. Give me some feedback in the bottom. And also, I try to make good videos for people that are educational or informational. So if you like my videos, please subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.